My name is Frank Marino, and I am a lighting director, lighting designer, and or gaffer, three different functions, all involving lights. And I've been doing this since 1974. That's better than 35 years. As a lighting director, we would have a multi-camera, let's say, variety show. I would then design a look that would be appropriate to camera on a set that'll give us the technical requirements for camera pictures, as well as an aesthetic balance that ideally sells a time, place, mood, or circumstance. As a lighting director with cameras, you work in close coordination with your art directors and camera. Often there will be a DP assigned, you're working with that. But generally it's for you to give them the look, install it, and see to it that it's a successful endeavor. The designer is now in a realm that is more theatrical, or specifically theatrical, and that is for stage. Frequently, a designer like myself will be doing productions that do not involve camera. This is for live presentations, so that the mandate for what you're doing is very different since there is no camera. This is for a live show. And again, as a designer, you design it. However, I am not necessarily responsible for its installation. We will have other people that would be doing that. Gaffer is a term that applies specifically to film, and that means I am the chief lighting technician, in that I will coordinate the technical requirements, the logistics, how much, how often, when, where, crew, these variables, and then put it together to give us a look. I do a full range of projects. Within the area of broadcast, I would say it's hard, I mean, I'd say the one I'm doing is the one I like the most. I could say that, you know, without trying to be safe. Certain things do stick out when you're dealing with exceptional talent in a good environment. I was fortunate enough to be lighting director for some of the elements that came with the first 3 years of Second City. This was outstanding comedy with amazing people. Consequently, it was a party interrupted by a little work. Hardly seemed like work. Hours are long. No matter what the production, it's long. Short day. I would call a 10-hour day short. Most of my days run 12 to 14 work hours. When you're getting into theatrical, as in live event, I'll go around the clock. We're getting set up, rehearsals, you know, line by line on your show book, things of this nature, which means you don't stop until the show's over. My training has been entirely academic. I have nothing to do whatsoever with any visual format, majoring in histories in university, certainly no arts and crafts of any sort except shop in high school. And as I hit beyond university into my first vocation, which was teaching, I realized that you know, the nicest thing about teaching was quitting, and I really had to move on, and was fortunate to arrive in Toronto at a point where there was a big development in production. Right time, right place, huge effort, a little bit of luck, and I was able to get myself started fairly late. You know, I was well into my late 20s at the time I got going. The principles of lighting really haven't changed. You know, you require a key, a fill, backlights, kickers, things of this nature. That doesn't change. What does change is the technologies, the type of lights that you're using, the sensitivities of cameras, and it's ongoing. It changes almost every year. There is something significant to enhance what you do or otherwise make it more efficient in many ways. So Technologies change, application of technique, not necessarily. Technologies that I'm dealing with are twofold. One is the camera, and the other, of course, is the light. With the camera, where it's film, we have had a considerable advancement in film stock, ongoing. And of course, with the electronic medium, starting when I first started with video, it was on 2-inch tape to 3/4 to 1/2 inch to now digital. At every turn, you have an amazing increase in the efficiency factors of everything. So with the cameras, before we were dealing with a white to black ratio of maybe 40:1. That's pretty crude. It takes a lot of light to get this type of stats. But when you're dealing with the newer stocks, fast film, we now have a ratio that can go 2,000:1. With the lights, there again, we have new technologies now. As I mentioned before, principles of lighting may remain essentially the same. A key light's a key light. As to what drives it is something else. Is it an HMI? Is it a tungsten? Is it a KinoFlow? All of these things now, 2 of those 3 are new. The KinoFlow, basically a fluorescent that has its own transformer, magnetic. It is silent, often dimmable, and a mainstay of production now. It produces a very, very nice quality soft light at a fraction of the power. To get a comparable amount of light, were we to use tungsten. I mean a fraction, like 1/10 or more. We have the HMIs. These are, again, a powerful light which has gas in a tube as opposed to the tungsten elements. And we have an output of efficiency of easily 4 to 5:1 with output to power consumed. So these technologies are ever changing, and you're constantly coming across relatively new things, and it's incumbent upon you to be aware of what's out there so that you can utilize it effectively and really improve your efficiency with what you're doing. Early on with this type of work, it's rather competitive. You have a huge interest with a mass of people who really want to get involved with this, so that you really have to have a single-minded focus on getting in. And I would say to the exclusion of everything else. You really have to want this very badly. And to the exclusion of everything else, I mean it. This is the sole driving thing in your life to get in. That's the hard part. Once you're in, it's easier to really find your way with things that will appeal to you. It's one thing to believe you have a notion of what you might like, never having seen it before. And once you're in production, you realize that what you thought you may have liked, in fact, is nothing compared to what you really like now that you've seen production. So good to have inspiration and drive to get you into the lot, so to speak. But once you're in, be prepared to be flexible. You have to want it very, very badly, because if you don't, there are 15 people in back of you who do, and don't forget it. But, that's what it is. Get all the experience you can, and be it a cable 10 station, community broadcast, you have amateur theater, you have a huge range of things that are non-professional, very active, and in fact do some interesting work. This is what you have to get your hands on at all costs. Get involved anywhere. I found that the type of developments I have is based on the work that I'm doing. I had few preconceived notions beforehand, and I feel that I really had no way of knowing what I was getting into prior. And had I known beforehand, I don't think it would have been helpful. So is there anything, to answer the question, is there anything that would have helped me had I known before? I would say no. The experience is everything, and with experience you have the capacity to add on to that experiences with new experiences. Without start points, you have nothing to build on. So if you know this is what you want to do, don't be bashful, get in there and do it. If you don't know what you want to do, and that is generally the case, you really want an entry-level position that allows you to get in on the ground floor and look around. One of the really nice positions is what we call a PA, production assistant. You are the first in, last out, treated like a slave, but you have the opportunity to look around and see what really appeals to you, and then draw your target on that area. And once you have a target, it's almost easy compared to not having a target.